Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, it's pretty brutal out there. The sentiment is in the dumps, it's in the gutter. People are feeling depressed and sad and much more. But as always, we don't want to approach the markets from an emotional standpoint. And even with the big news that we got yesterday from Fed Chair Jerome Powell of them cutting rates again and ending quantitative tightening on December 1st, and in addition, US-China trade negotiations going pretty well. There has been some progress. It's not fully resolved, but Trump met with President Xi and things are moving in the right direction. The markets have not rebounded. But what did I say at the beginning of the week? That anytime there is an FOMC meeting of any specific week, there's tons of volatility. So you can't judge the market, right? I said we got to let the dust settle here. I do believe the macro perspective is we are still in a bull market. There hasn't been any major invalidations on the chart, despite what Bitcoin is doing, despite what the total altcoin market cap is doing. No invalidation. If there was invalidation and we were in a massive downtrend, then yeah, pack it up, go home, right? It is time to panic, but nothing like that is taking place. It's just the whales and market makers are trying to shake people out. And we got to be patient here. This market will continue. We are seeing all the macro signals. We're looking at on-chain data. Whales are not dumping. The whales are still holding on, and we're still seeing accumulation. Plus, you have Bitcoin dominance, USDT dominance, and a bunch of the other top signals that have not flashed, right, guys? So nothing has changed despite the roller coaster ride we are seeing up and down, chop sideways. It's boring as hell, but don't get emotional about it. Look at the data, all the metrics I've been sharing with you guys in the newsletter, on the podcast, and so forth. So just be patient. Things are still moving in the right direction, and there has been no invalidation. Now, one of the things we've been waiting for, which, is a big macro catalyst for the bull market to continue, is the SEC approving different altcoin ETFs. We saw some approvals this week for a Solana staking ETF from Bitwise and HBAR and Litecoin ETF. Well, here we got an update from Canary Funds about the XRP spot ETF because there's a ton of XRP spot ETFs and Solana ETFs that have not been approved yet. So Eleanor Terrett is reporting Canary Funds has filed an updated S1 for its XRP spot ETF, removing the delaying amendment that stops a registration from going auto-effective and gives the SEC control over timing. This sets Canary's XRP ETF up for a launch date of November 13th, assuming the Nasdaq greenlights the 8A filing. Note, the government reopening could affect the timing, potentially moving it up if the filing is complete and the SEC is satisfied, or back if staff propose additional comments. So again, we got the government shutdown that is delaying a lot of these approvals, right, for XRP and Solana and so forth. And obviously, we hope that the government opens up relatively soon, because that's also another macro catalyst, right? You have the resolution of all these things. It's not that the markets need them. It's going to give hope to the investors, right? It's a psychological thing. I personally don't need that because I've been in the markets. I understand what's happening here. But for the average Joe and Jane out there, they need that, right? They need the Fed signal and much more. So this is very good. And again, you got a bunch of XRP ETFs, Solana ETFs still on the table here. And that should, when those are approved and live, that's going to be very bullish for those respective assets. And in fact, here's what Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan, who I've had on the podcast many times, said about the XRP ETF. He predicts it will easily become a $1 billion fund within the first few months. So again, I hope you see what's happening here. That's not going to happen in a bear market, and that's because the top is not in, folks. As brutal as it's been, right? And we had a lot of headwinds with the tariffs. So people forget like all the stuff that happened earlier this year. People have short memory spans, but remember, I've been saying that changed the timeline, but it didn't end the bull market. So just make sure you have all these things in mind and put them into context. And look at this. The largest XRP Treasury company went live on the Nasdaq today. That's Evernorth. So they're going to raise $1 billion to buy XRP. In fact, I'll be interviewing the CEO of Evernorth, Ashish Burla. He used to be a Ripple employee. So that interview, unfortunately, got rescheduled to tomorrow. It was supposed to happen today because I posted it on X. But I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow and get all the details for you guys. So we got crypto companies looking to go public, Kraken, Securitize, Consensus. So do you think they're going to go public in a bear market, right? Put your thinking caps on here. So that's why look past the volatility and look at all the factors, right? All the facts and all the things that are happening in the market, guys. We're still in a bull market, despite this. You're going to see in the comment section, bears are going to come out because they have their shorts, right? So they're going to try to get you to panic sell and feel fear and much more. It's the same story we saw many times throughout this bull market, especially in the tariff crash earlier this year. They were doing the same thing. They would flood the comments. It's over to Thompson. You're an idiot. You're lying and all, right? And then they disappear when the price rebounds. It's the same thing. So don't fall for it, guys. Make sure you're focused on the data and the metrics and not emotions and sentiment and someone just making a statement, right? Folks, this episode is brought to you by Propy, which is leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. Propy has been at this since 2017. They're a licensed real estate Web3 company, and they've been putting a lot of things on chain, guys, titles, deeds, and much more. And billionaire investor Tim Draper is an investor in this company. And Propy allows you to buy and sell homes for crypto. So if you want to sell your house for Bitcoin, you can do that. And they use Coinbase for the crypto escrow services. So we know real estate's going to be tokenized. We know it's going to be disrupted by blockchain, and Propy's leading the charge. In fact, I'm a Propy token holder. I have been since 2018 because I recognize that they were ahead of the curve in this movement of tokenizing real estate and disrupting the real estate industry. They recently launched a AI-assisted title and escrow on-chain for real estate. So leveraging AI, and the name of the AI is Avery. So this is really cool, guys. You got to check it out. Once again, I'm a Propy token holder. I'm bullish on this project, not just for this bull market, long term, because I see this being a winner. So if you'd like to learn more about Propy, go to propy.com. The link will be in the description. Now, folks, we got big news from JPMorgan today. This is very bullish. And in fact, it's one of those things you look at and you see the capitulation that's happening with JPMorgan and Jamie DImon, and you look at crypto Twitter and the sentiment, the juxtaposition of the two things, right? It's just an interesting dichotomy between these two things. So first, before we get to Jamie DImon, JPMorgan executes the first fund servicing transaction on its Connexus blockchain. So the system uses smart contracts to automate capital calls and reduce manual fund processes. The launch builds on JPMorgan's earlier on-chain repo tool powered by Connexus. Now, JPMorgan's Connexus is a private permission blockchain, but what they've been doing is bridging it to public blockchains like Ondo and Coinbase's layer 2 base. So JPMorgan is all in, right? They have launched crypto trading for their wealthy clients. They're going to use Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral. They're tokenizing on public blockchains. And don't be surprised if they launch their own stablecoin. Now, they did launch JPM coin in the past, but that's once again part of their private blockchain. So let's see what they do from a public standpoint. But clearly, they're all in. And guys, today, Jamie DImon sitting at a roundtable with Larry Fink, a CEO of BlackRock, and other financial bigwigs, made some very bullish statement, fully capitulated. Let me play the clip for you.
Skeptical of crypto at one point. You're still skeptical.
I've gotten away with no damage so far. Crypto is real. If you mean blockchain, stable coins, you have a JPMorgan deposit coin, you can move stuff, smart contracts are real, all that stuff is real. It will be used by all of us to facilitate, better transactions and customer service.
Did you hear what he said? Crypto's real. It's going to be used by everybody, stable coins, crypto, and so forth. A far cry from the things he said years ago, right? That crypto, Bitcoin's a scam and so forth. So very bullish. And this is the final boss. Remember, JPMorgan, they are the world's largest bank, and they sit at the top of the fiat kingdom, right? So, of course, Jamie, for a long time, bashing the crypto asset class, calling Bitcoin a pet rock and all kinds of stuff, right? Now, capitulated. Even Larry Fink at one point was saying negative things, and he's capitulated as well. So this is a monumental day, and I think it should be getting bigger news, but people are so depressed about the price. It's so funny. But guys, it's incredible. And Larry Fink, speaking at the same conference, he said that we're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset. So it's what we've been talking about for years on this podcast. The markets, the economies, and governments will all run on blockchain rails. They're going to tokenize all the assets. It's going to open up a truly global market for these assets now, bringing in liquidity from all over, trading 24/7, instant settlement, fractionalization, more people can participate, and much more. So incredible stuff. Now, look at this news. Ondo Finance and Chainlink unite to bring global finance on chain. So starting today, Ondo and Chainlink are joining together in a landmark strategic partnership to bring financial institutions on chain, building the infrastructure to tokenize trillions. Wow. Together, we will work with leading institutions to move their assets and operations on chain using Ondo's tokenization infrastructure and assets, with Ondo and Chainlink partnering to make CCIP the preferred solution for traditional financial institutions' cross-chain initiatives. Huge partnership. I own both tokens, both the Link and the Ondo tokens. So I'm bullish on both projects. I have more so a bigger bag in Chainlink going back to a long time, years. And Ondo, I recently added, I think it was earlier this year in the tariff crash when the prices were down. So notice I buy when the prices are down. When there's blood and on the streets and people are scared, right? I don't buy pumps. So that's something you got to learn to do, folks. But this is huge news and very bullish if you hold these tokens. Now, look at this. Nigerian fintech plans African stablecoin payment system with Polygon. Now, I do have some Matic token in my portfolio. That's a native token of the Polygon blockchain. And Polygon's a layer 2 on Ethereum. They are getting a lot of adoption. And here, this is a pretty big one. So Flutterwave, Nigeria's largest fintech company, is developing a cross-border payment platform powered by stablecoins, highlighting the growing role of blockchain technology in streamlining payments across Africa. The company is partnered with Polygon Labs to launch the service across its 34-country network. Bloomberg reported Thursday, Polygon's blockchain infrastructure built to provide scalable, faster, and cheaper transactions on Ethereum will be used to enhance settlement speed and efficiency. Big news for Polygon here, but also incredible news for crypto adoption. Stablecoins and all types of financial products are being built for crypto around the globe. This is the world's first truly global asset class. So incredible adoption happening across the globe. Now, look at this news. We've been waiting, of course, for the Market Structure Bill, the Clarity Act, to pass in the Senate, but unfortunately, the government shut down, of course. So I still believe there's a strong chance it gets passed by December. But here, Eleanor Tarrant is reporting that the Senate Agriculture Committee is close to releasing its long-awaited bipartisan draft that deals with the commodities side of the crypto market structure bill, according to multiple sources, but exact timing differs depending on who you speak to. Some say the committee could move as soon as tomorrow. Others say final preparations mean it could slide into next week. Either way, the imminent rollout, along with the restart of bipartisan staff negotiations on the banking committee, shows the market structure wheels are back in motion following last week's industry roundtables. So despite the government shutdown, things are still progressing. And guys, this is a major milestone item, which, once again, I don't believe the bull market's over. If the whales and market makers are doing their thing here, this would be a massive, huge opportunity missed to drive FOMO into this market. And, they make their money and their cuts and so forth. Why would you not, try to have the market continue to a point where this happens and it becomes this massive buy the rumor, sell the news event, if you know how markets work, right, guys? So this, in addition to crypto companies planning to do IPOs, global liquidity, whales still buying, not dumping, the signals like the Pi cycle top indicator not flashing, the Bitcoin monthly chart still shows the bulls are in control. That's the higher time frame, of course, and much more, right? We've never seen a bull market end with fear and people panicking and all that. It's always euphoric. It's always you're an idiot for taking profits. You're an idiot. It's going to keep going up, right? They get that greed, euphoric phase where you become contrarian to the herd. And right now, I'm being contrarian to the herd because the herd feels bearish. The herd feels this is all over. So, guys, I hope you understand what I'm saying here, right? It's so important to, and maybe what might be helpful for you guys, journal this stuff, write it out on your paper, like the pros and the cons, right? Are we in a bull market? And list out some of the reasons I shared here, which are factual. They're not made up. It's not a conspiracy theory, right? It's not fairy tales. Just simply these things are on the horizon, and some of it is data driven and much more. Versus, okay, the chart shows some bearish things. We are seeing some volatility, right? And despite the positive news we just got from the Fed, and even with the trade deals with China, the market didn't pump right away. And Jamie Dimon capitulating, the pump didn't happen right away. Positive news does not mean the market pumps right away. It depends on what's happening from a liquidity standpoint, sentiment standpoint, because you have to understand the fundamentals of the market, guys. Okay, guys, one more sponsor I want to highlight here. So this episode is brought to you by Trustless Media, which is pioneering the first way to bid, win, and trade ad space as an NFT. And my podcast is actually participating here, but you can advertise on Coinage, in my podcast, as mentioned, and even the roll up. So this is a new way of doing advertising using Web3 technology. And you can bid now to unlock different ads like this on Coinage and other premium creators at a 90% discount. You can head over to auction.trustless.media to bid on ads today and even get paid if you get outbid. So that's a really cool feature. You can get rewarded and paid a bit there. So if someone outbidded you, so you get to kind of pay, you get paid to like participate, right? So again, we're testing this out. I'm part of the network here where folks can bid to show their ads on this podcast, and check it out, guys. I'll put the link in the description. Go to auction.trustless.media. And once again, Coinage, my podcast, and even the roll up participating here. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Be sure to check out my newsletter, my book on Amazon, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.